Good evening everybody, I'm Fictional Crystals, and let's continue talking about LOTOR. This is the second part of my two-part centric LOTOR and villain-related video. The first and second part were originally just meant to be one video, but the video would have ended up being around 50 minutes long, so I had to split it, since I know barely anyone would sit through a 50-minute long video at once. I know I wouldn't. I strongly recommend watching the first part before this one, since I will be referring to stuff I said in it. These two parts took me around 3 weeks to make, I'm not kidding. It's because of it and real life stuff that I haven't been able to upload new videos recently, or simply been on social media at all in general. Sorry about that, guys. I finished recording and editing the whole 2 parts. Then some new interviews with the show's executive producers came out. They basically added more evidence onto stuff I already recorded. Anyway, on with the LOTOR and villain-related theories. Voltron Legendary Defender is a reboot of a show called Voltron Defender of the Universe. Defender of the Universe is a censored, edited, dubbed over, and just generally changed version of an 80s anime. Beast King GoLion, although there are some parts from another 80s anime called Armored Fleet Dialogue 15. Legendary Defender does take quite a few elements from older versions of Voltron, yet they still manage to keep those older elements fresh by adding their own twist to them. For the sake of not confusing people, I'll just use the characters' current names when referring to older versions. In GoLion, the series ended with LOTOR and Shiro's brother that might as well have just been him dying. In Defender of the Universe, they still fought, only without the dying part. The Shiro currently on the team is a clone, that's really obvious. He's a spy created by Hagar.
You could have been our greatest weapon.
He's not going to be on the team forever. Not with the real Shiro contacting Lance, and Keith returning to the team soon. All of the team has noticed something is off with him, including himself. They're going to be having trouble forming Voltron because of the Shiro issue. Oh, and if you're wondering why Keith has one of Crowley's marks on his face, I'm betting it emerged because of a quintessence encounter. The Blade of Marmora, including Crowley and Keith, deal with a lot of quintessence. A Galra mark appearing on one side of his face naturally after how many years? It doesn't seem right. Someone or something triggered that to appear. We'll see. Imagine if they just put a mark there for the promo pic. I'd be so disappointed. Or if it's a scar. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Back to what I was saying about the clone before. What if, like the Shiro did in the original, Clone Shiro, aka Kuron, goes down because of LOTOR? After finding out Haggar was using Narty to spy on him, he killed her. He supposedly did the same to Rot, who was a spy from Haggar. When he finds out Haggar is using Shiro to spy on him, what do you think he'd want to do? LOTOR'S killed 2 of Haggar's puppets. It's implied he killed a 3rd. He attempted to kill a 4th Haggar puppet. There's likely others he disposed of off-screen. One more is nothing. I talked about LOTOR'S sacrifice and the dark creatures a whole lot in the first part. I doubt he died because of Clone Shiro, but I can definitely see them battling. Haggar and Shiro fought in GoLion. Haggar killed Shiro. They had the same fight in Legendary Defender, except in this case, Shiro didn't die. A Keith and or Lance sword fight with LOTOR isn't too far-fetched either. Now, I want to talk about Haggar's involvement with LOTOR. LOTOR in GoLion contributed to killing Zarkon same as now, except instead of delivering the blow himself, he simply did nothing to prevent him from being killed. This actually kind of looks like the season 2 ending. LOTOR became the new emperor then too. Haggar despised LOTOR for killing him. She confronted him and attempted to kill him with Kova's help. They fought, LOTOR ended up winning and killed her. Before he finished her off, she revealed him important information about his mother. While at his sword point, she told him that his mother was an Altean, which in GoLion he didn't know for certain beforehand, although there were clues to it that he saw. LOTOR already knows he's half Altean in Legendary Defender.
You are a half-breed. Your mother was Honerva.
Everyone here knows my lineage.
But what he doesn't know is that Honerva and Haggar are the same person, or rather, he refuses to accept it. That's something that I think he'd only accept if he saw it from her herself. She now remembers he's her son. He doesn't know, Sesh refuses to accept her as his mother. LOTOR is very against Haggar, maybe even more so than he was towards Zarkon. After all, she's the reason Zarkon had so much power.
You've become nothing more than one of the witch's monsters!
If the Galra was smart, we'd be working together against her.
He thinks she's in his way more than anyone else at the moment. She's spying on him again, and he doesn't like that. I think expecting her former puppet Sendek to come back is a given too. Maybe with a new super weapon to use against LOTOR. I mean, the super weapon was implied to have killed Trug, and the other commander that was after it didn't make it into the base, meaning the weapon is still there, unless the Blade and Marmora go back for it, after Crowley reports what she knows of it. Crowley and the Blade should realize it isn't a good idea leaving the super weapon in the base. If there is any Galra against LOTOR, that is able to take control of the weapon, it's Sendak. And if there's any non-Golra able to get it, it's Hagar. LOTOR taking charge meant bad things for Sendak in 80s Voltron. He turned into a row beast. We can expect something similar to happen in this version. He's already fought with LOTOR for control. Hagar would gladly put him to use as a row beast. I'll touch on what the super weapon might be. Some potent quintessence was used to create it. Warlord Ranvei got the quintessence by intercepting an undocumented shipment. I suspect the undocumented shipment was intended for LOTOR, because he was working on his secret project which required quintessence. The quintessence either mutated an already living creature into this, or it brought to life a new hybrid. Mixed Golra do have some physical advantages over purebred Golra. Full Golra in the bad side of the Empire think very poorly of anyone that isn't full Golra. They thought of them as weak and pure. But the Golra now know what these so-called half-breeds are capable of. They're not at all as weak as they thought. Imagine if the Golra were to utilize the powers of several different races. By taking the strongest aspects of each, they'd be able to create a super weapon. This weapon looks like a mashup of a bunch of different things. Parts of it seem odd matched up with other parts. The creature has a tail, yet no eyes. The only other character it remotely resembles is Narti, who is a hybrid with no eyes and a tail. Narti might have been created in the same way as this creature. On the Voltron website, it does say she has a mysterious past, and Hagar was able to use her to see through. The only other person we've seen her use this ability on is Clone Shiro, Kuron, and Kuron was artificially made, leading me to believe Narti was also. With LOTOR'S current mentality, he does want to take Hagar down. He views her as a witch that needs to go. LOTOR is going to try to kill Hagar. As she's reaching her demise, she'll reveal the truth, which she didn't tell him sooner. Under his sword point, she'll show him that she is Honerva, his mother, by transforming back, leading to an interesting story for LOTOR. Them being mother and son affects both their actions. Hagar naturally has more sympathy towards LOTOR, enough to open up to him, give him a second chance, and tell him she's sorry for everything. This will mess LOTOR up so badly. He admires Honerva, but despises Hagar. Seeing Hagar transform into Honerva in front of his very eyes, he wouldn't know whether to like Hagar or hate Honerva. Honerva and Zarkon wanted a child. The Golra Empire isn't a dynasty. Zarkon dying didn't automatically make LOTOR the emperor. Zarkon and Honerva didn't have him to be the heir to the throne. The rift event corrupted them. Their love and compassion was gone. The Altans were an enemy of Zarkon thanks to Alfor. He erased the fact that he was married to one. He remembered they were married. It's because of his memories that Hagar remembered too. He just stopped treating her as his lover. And his son was a disgrace he was bound to by blood. Hagar was piecing it all together during this. It was heartbreaking seeing her realize that she has a son and that she and Zarkon have hurt him. He has her Altan blood. It's her blood in him that the Golra hate. She's easier on him than Zarkon was.
Summon Prince LOTOR.
Imagine if she was already dying by the time she told LOTOR the truth. It'd be too late for him to talk to her, to learn more about her, something that he's always wanted to do. Bringing Honerva back might play a part in why he wants the rift open so badly, to carry on her work, her legacy, to resurrect her once again. Keith and LOTOR have a few significant similarities. Parental problems, being a leader that didn't reach others' expectations. Their swords, half-Golra heritage, scars on their father's faces, etc. As Keith does, he feels it's his fault his mother left. As I stated in the first part, her being pregnant during this time likely contributed to her declining health.
I'm naturally untrusting because my mom left me.
Crowlia and Keith are going to be mending their bond in the upcoming season. LOTOR and Hagar will have their problems addressed too. He'll honor her work and her death with the rift. So maybe a bit of her can live on. Perhaps Honerva is his ulterior motive. Keith and LOTOR have been through many similar things. I don't doubt that they will talk about these things with each other. If Hagar is to die, LOTOR's generals really do have nowhere else to go. Who else would need the half-breeds? Never mind that, who else would let them live? They've worked with LOTOR and Hagar, who many Golra don't like and want killed. Simply by association, they're on some Golra's death list.
Deadly force to stop him or any of his soldiers.
We won't live to see the new regime.
Team Voltron may be able to bring them over to their side. If LOTOR is still on good terms with Team Voltron by the time he does what he does to Hagar, then yeah, the generals could easily join their side. Acxa and Keith have moments that should be addressed in the future. The generals remind me of a character from Voltron Defender of the Universe. Her name is Queen Mirla. Combine aspects of the four generals and you get Mirla. Acxa's looks, Azor's braid thing, Zethra's determination, and Narti's power, and Animal sidekick.
You must give in to my will. Don't fight it.
Mirla was initially on LOTOR's side, until some stuff happened between them, causing them to split ways. Mirla and Hagar worked together.
Us girls have got to stick together, eh, Queen Mirla?
Then more stuff happened, eventually leading to Merla joining up with LOTOR again. Merla wanted to be good. She got LOTOR to become good with her. That's when he went to Team Voltron.
I'm going to prove it to you by helping Voltron. Then you'll know my love is true.
LOTOR ended up turning on all of them, including Merla. Acxa especially is still loyal to LOTOR.
No one is replacing LOTOR.
She'd follow him anywhere. If Haggar leaves the picture, Acxa would bring the generals back to LOTOR, which also leads back to his ships. They are trans-reality comet ships. Once alchemy is used on them, they'll be able to do the same things Voltron can. Voltron can go into the rift, but he wants to go in with his ships so he can do what he wants without their guidance. It's always good having backup trans-reality vehicles anyway, just in case something goes wrong with one of them. Assuming that once powered with Altan alchemy, these ships will have the same powers as Voltron. They'll be able to combine, creating Dark Voltron. A bad version of Voltron created by LOTOR has been a thing in a few incarnations of Voltron. Considering the things I've just said about the generals, the rift, and the ships, I suspect there will be a Dark Voltron in this version too. The generals will help pilot it. That's why there have been shared traits between the Paladins and the generals. Of course, the real Voltron will go after them into the rift to stop them. Voltron's comet was what forged the rift open over 10,000 years ago. Voltron's been into the rift before, it'll do it again. There are these new toys of the lions. These lion forms are supposedly in the show, but we haven't seen the lions like this yet. Obviously, we can expect that the new weapons on the lions the Paladins are going to unlock later on. The black and the gold on the lions is completely unseen though. The blue on the lions represent quintessence. LOTOR'S magic when powering Voltron is blue. Blue quintessence is also the color quintessence LOTOR tried using to make a gateway and go through with his ships. The lions will take these forms when they're powered up with LOTOR'S powers / quintessence in the rift, or the Paladins will unlock this form when the real team is back together, meaning when the clone is gone, the real Shiro returns from this astral plane deal and Keith returns. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the comet ships and Haggar. One of his comet ships has not yet been completed. The generals betrayed him and are now working for Haggar. Haggar is on her way to Orient. There's a very good chance she's a chosen Altan, so she can get past the white hole. She's not only an Altan, she's one of the most powerful Altans. She was picked by King Alpha himself to experiment with the rift. Allura is a chosen Altan, just like her father. That granted them both access to Orient. LOTOR is also a chosen Altan. Chances are his mother is too. There's a good probability Haggar could be able to enter Orient. Going there gives her a chance to learn the secrets about the Altans. That's where she can probably use Kuron to her advantage. Stage 4 of Operation Kuron is being able to see through his eyes. Stage 5 is likely her being able to control him. Future me here from after this interview. Joaquim dos Santos gave us a big hint that there is more to Haggar's control than just seeing through Kuron's eyes. Alright, back to me from the past. His free will be gone.
It saps the fighting force from our enemies. Their will, you might say.
He's programmed like another sentry. That way, he can get her what she wants. He was also doing Haggar's bidding in the Voltron Devil's Due comics. Quite a bit of inspiration for Clone Shiro was taken from the Devil's Due comics. Kuron will try to divert the Paladins and LOTOR from catching Haggar. She might need some stuff from them or her lair that Kuron can get, or help / info from LOTOR or Allura that Kuron can also get. He can deliver them straight to her if she wishes. Let's say she makes it into Orient and discovers Altan alchemy secrets, whether the proper way or through force. With one of the comets, she can create her own ship. In Defender of the Universe and GoLion, the White Lion was a thing, except it wasn't like the Guardian White Lion. It was a trick made by Haggar. Knowing about the White Lion, getting a trans-reality comet, and learning new secrets of Altan alchemy, what if she creates the White Lion like she did in the original? This time as a robot, like the other lions. This article, which I will link in the description, gives a good explanation of why a White Lion robot could theoretically happen. 2 of the comet ships have already been made. Creating both of them used up 60% of the comet LOTOR got. LOTOR wants to create a 3rd Sincline ship, but it has not been completed. Even if it does get finished, there will still be some comet left.
We will have more than enough for the creation of the 3rd.
Something else could be built with the remaining comet. I still feel as though Dark Voltron with these ships is more likely to happen, but I can definitely see Haggar using the White Lion concept. She doesn't strictly have to create a White Lion robot. Perhaps just a vision of the White Lion that she uses to her advantage. Haggar is following LOTOR on his quest, not only to learn what he learns, but to protect him as his mother. That's why she was scared when she found out Zarkon was going for him. She knows Zarkon was planning on killing him. Haggar will be watching over LOTOR, except as I stated earlier, LOTOR won't like this. If he finds out before she reaches Orient, thanks to Clone Shiro, her chance of getting into Orient will lower significantly. He'll do whatever to stop Haggar from getting there, and messing with any of his plans. Leading to this happening again. She turns into Honerva at LOTOR'S sword point. What if she doesn't die though? What if he stops himself after seeing she's Honerva? There'd be a lot of emotional turmoil for LOTOR. With her Honerva self restored, she'd help him work through it. Haggar's fine with what she's done to him and the universe. However, Honerva won't be. Honerva and LOTOR have a common goal, knowledge and the rift. Once Team Voltron goes against him, he might end up working with her and the generals. In the Defender of the Universe movie Fleet of Doom, Haggar showed her old self to Allura.
Isn't there any goodness inside you at all? Long ago, I was good. I used my powers for virtue and was loved by all.
Haggar was struggling between good and evil. Allura helped Haggar let out her good side. In return, Haggar set Allura free from the mindscape she was trapped in. Or rather, it was Haggar's old self. In Legendary Defender, Allura will confront Haggar once again. In the original, it was through a mindscape. The confrontation doesn't necessarily have to be in a mindscape in Legendary Defender, though the confrontation happening in a mindscape / astral plane in Legendary Defender does definitely work. Allura's figured out that Haggar is Honerva.
Altean? Perhaps she didn't die. What if she and Haggar are the same?
If Orion doesn't completely unlock Haggar's Honerva side, Allura will. She realizes that Honerva was corrupted. She knows of Honerva's great feats back in the day. She'll be one of the ones to uncover the good in Haggar. She'll set Honerva on the path to saving LOTOR from the mess he's getting into by bringing up what happened last time. Crowlia is going to be telling Keith not to make the same mistakes as her, that being leaving those you care about.
I'll never leave you again.
Honerva will try to tell LOTOR not to make the same mistakes as her. It's Honerva and Allura that'll make him realize he's becoming Zarkon.
Sounds like you are your father's son.
Just like your father.
Yes, everyone's going to be telling him to stop what he's doing by then. Oh, the Paladins will be yelling at him, the Galra, the Coalition. After seeing the danger they're in, even his generals will want to back out. The generals will be debating between good and bad.
Just like your father.
But it's Honerva and Allura that he'll listen to. They've both been through loss and grief and trauma as he has. They're both Alteans. They know what he needs to hear. Lastly, LOTOR'S ulterior motive. What he told the Paladins is genuine. He does want knowledge and peace.
What would I gain by fighting you?
Though it definitely feels like there is more he has yet to reveal.
A much larger ulterior motive.
Whenever he does that smirk, that's when you know there's something more. He does that face when something is up his sleeve and when his plans are going right.
Time we had a discussion. Proven correct.
Expressions are important.
If we know that a character, is feeling something about that moment, especially if we know that there's something coming up down the line that maybe hasn't been revealed, but that it would make that character feel a certain way, we try to insert in there and not do it.
Honerva is absolutely a part of his motive. He's carrying on her work and legacy and whatnot. There's valuable things he can and wants to learn from the Rift. He's aiming to unlock the secret she didn't get a chance to. He hopes it can answer questions he's had about his heritage.
Zarkon's attempt to save Honerva was in vain. The Paladins had been deceived by Zarkon.
LOTOR hates that Zarkon destroyed so many planets, people, and their cultures. LOTOR wants to make up for what was lost.
To return the Galra Empire to a bygone era of peace.
But maybe it's deeper than just giving back for what was lost. Maybe he actually thinks he can bring back the Alteans, bring back the cultures that were lost. Maybe in Legendary Defender, LOTOR thinks he can change their reality, that he can reverse what happened with his newfound knowledge. Literally bring back what and who was lost. Allura can understand wanting and trying to bring back what was lost. With her now being associated with the Life Givers, Altair and Alteans coming back are possibilities. Maybe there are still Alteans out there, blending in with other races. Alteans had spaceships, surely some more got off Altair. They were a diplomatic race, why would they all have been on the same planet? It seems as though some have their minds in this astral plane realm too.
The realm of your ancestors, the Alteans.
This is an astral plane-esque realm. Zarkon said, if you die in the astral plane, your physical body dies too.
When you die in this realm, your body dies as well.
But he didn't say that if your physical body dies, your mind can't survive in the astral plane. LOTOR has good motives, he just takes it way too far. Team Voltron has a breaking point. They won't go as far as he wants. The more he pushes them to do stuff, the more they'll hold back. Except for you, Kuron. The first episode of Season 3 alone essentially told us LOTOR's story and motives. He said he wishes to change the old ways, to form alliances rather than destroy, unless they continue to stand against him. He knows how to manipulate. However, in the end, he is his own undoing. Season 3's final is another good one for foreshadowing. History is going to repeat, this time hopefully with a better ending. Season 6 comes out June 15th. We will learn more about the new Emperor and his parents then. I've covered a lot of subjects in this 2-part video, so maybe I'll end up making separate videos on a few of the things I talked about to elaborate on them more. That is if I haven't already covered them in previous videos. But anyway, thanks for watching and Rapids are.
And in the end, your own aggression is your undoing.